We have this from Vote Hub. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk real civil war. Because you're probably saying, Tim, people fighting in the street does not a civil war make. Tim, politicians bicker all the time. The Trump people have been fighting with the Democrats the whole time, going back 10 years. What's new? What's new is that we are facing an unprecedented redistricting effort across the country. Typically, redistricting is done on the 10s, so 2010, 2020, 2030. It's now 2026. And in the past year, Democrats and Republicans have decided to eliminate political opposition in their states. Now, I believe it was Republicans who kicked this off. I'm not entirely sure. And it is a bold and unprecedented move. Now, conservatives have said, Republicans, full steam ahead. Democrats responded with, let's play too. So what happens when you have every state deciding to eliminate the rival political party from their state? We went from geographic polarization. This is people in California moving to Texas and Washington to Utah, people in New York to Florida. You're getting hyper concentrations of single political ideologies in certain areas. That's the geographic hyperpolarization. And now, with a weakened political base, Republicans in blue states and Democrats in red states are getting removed from the political equation, as predicted, with the latest being in Maryland. Maryland's Redistricting Advisory Commission has recommended a new 8-0 congressional map and sent it to Wes Moore. Christian Hines with the viral tweet saying, between this and Virginia, Democrats will have actually won the 25-26 phase of the redistricting wars unless Indiana has a change of heart, Florida gets involved, or the VRA is struck down, the Voting Rights Act. And if both of these states redraw Dem-favoring lines without any further action from red states, Democrats will probably have a 95+% chance of flipping the House in November. They wouldn't even need to flip any of the remaining toss-up seats around the country, including several districts they're already favored to win. That is, based on this map from 270 to win, based on redistricting, if Republicans do not play the game as well, Democrats don't even need to win an election. They don't need to campaign. They don't need to spend money. They will have just owned it based on demographics. It's done. And the New York Times actually published a story on this saying, who will win the House? 3 maps tell a tale. Take a look at this. 36 seats are most competitive. 18 are toss-ups. 26 redistricted or under discussion. 11 or so are in discussion. Effectively, Democrats are going to win the House, which is extremely tight as it is, not by convincing the American people, but by, in their states, utilizing their majority powers to eliminate Republicans from the equation. That means for the 40+% of Republicans who may live in these states, you will no longer have a say, and the Democrats are not going to let you ever have power again.
This is what the goal is. I mean, this is what they've done in California. This is, I believe they've done this in New York. It's essentially going to be Democrat, for eternity. Washington is like that now. And if they manage to do this nationally, they're going to pack the court. They're going to add states. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that Democrats don't ever lose again. We were talking about this last night. The Democrats thought that they had a permanent control of power when Barack Obama won. They figured the Republicans were going to be relegated to a regional party, and it would be the real competition was going to be who the Democrat nominee was, and they would have whoever their guy was go against the Republican, and of course they would win. Mm-hmm. If this happens, you can forget about ever having a Republican again. Like it will be one party control, and then the rest of the whole United States will turn into California. California's terrible budget situation, California's terrible immigration situation, California's inability to retain people, like all the people that, and globally, the United States is the last place to go. So it doesn't get more important than voting in this next coming election and in 2028. And this is something that I was saying in the pre-show. People like to say, oh, this is not the most important election. Everyone always says this is the most important election. Because we are human beings that exist in linear time, every election is the most important election ever because that's the only one you can vote in at that time. The elections that happened in the past, you can't change them. The elections that are coming in the future, you can't touch them. So the only ones that matter are the ones that you can affect right now. So the next election in 26 is the most important election ever. And then after that, the 28 one is the most important ever.
Why didn't they do this when Trump apparently had the election stolen from him? That's the thing. Why haven't Republicans already done something? At the end of the day, voter ID, proof of citizenship would fix everything. If this was such a big issue and the election was stolen, why haven't they already implemented this?
Republicans are, how do I say, pussies.
Retarded. I was gonna...
That too. Well, here's how I view Republicans. Republicans tend to have this mindset of, I don't want to be the person who gets a target on his back. If I actually do these things, someone's going to try and kill me or accuse me of improprieties. Like Brett Kavanaugh was accused of being a party to gang rapes in his college years, like just insane fabrication. Republicans are terrified. The truth is this: it's a simple question. If I were to tell you that, or let me just leave it like this: do you believe that the example I love using is Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is going to lead a group of angry, violent extremists to a corporate headquarters throwing firebombs because they censored him or someone else. No. Now, if I told you that some progressive leftist did, you'd be like, what do you mean that happened yesterday in Minneapolis? Yeah. The point is, conservatives don't get violent. So the Republicans go, my only fear is the left. That means if I actually stand up and say I should fight for this country, no one on the right's going to get my back, and no one and the left will try to kill me. If I demur and just say, well, you know, we got to have decorum here, Republicans will only complain, and the Democrats will leave my family alone.
Yeah.
But they still do just enough to antagonize the left to make them want to do that. Do you know what I mean?
You mentioned that earlier.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. Some Republicans do, but not enough Republicans, and I would say 80%, they're doing very little. And they're getting heat regardless.
Yeah. This is something that we've talked about a little bit on the show. The idea that Republicans are the reason why Democrats behave the way that they do, or that the Republicans could do something to prevent them from behaving the way they do, I don't buy it at all. That's why I was saying, like, this election that's coming up, no matter what happens, the Democrats will do everything they can to consolidate power. If the Republicans win, then the Republicans have a chance. If they don't win, they're going to do everything they're going to stall. The House will start impeachment hearings on Trump. It doesn't matter whether they have any substance or not. That's not the point. They will do everything they can to hamstring the Trump administration. And then come, the presidential election, they're going to be like, see, the Republicans didn't do anything. They didn't do all this stuff they promised you, and et cetera, et cetera. And they're going to hope that that's enough to get them over the finish line. And if they win the presidency and still have the House and the Senate, they will annihilate the whole country.
I want to stress, because you said, Phil, that this is the most important election. I think the point we're seeing here with this redistricting war is that time is come and gone. The time for these elections was before anyone realized. We had the conversation several months ago, just after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and I said any move we make to preempt what we believe is coming will feel premature. To cite Godwin's law, the Jews in Nazi Germany who fled early, and the ones who didn't were killed. And the ones who didn't were like, you're crazy. Like, it's not going to happen. And if you read the literature on this stuff, the reason why people stayed behind and were like, I don't think it'll ever get that bad. So after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we ripped the conversation. And I said, look, we're discussing whether or not we can keep doing this show the way we do it because we're relatively exposed, right? Yeah. We don't. Let me say it like this. Back in the day, if you had a primetime TV show that got 10 million listeners, 10 million, it was you. No other station could broadcast that. That meant you owned 100% of the sponsorship rights. 10 million people would watch you. You'd sell an ad for 10 million. You'd make a ton of money. I'm saying for 10 million viewers, you had millions of dollars. You hired bodyguards, crazy security. Today, this show probably gets 10 million views or more per episode, not on this channel or on Rumble or on podcasts, but because clips are made.
Right, yes.
And the show is then shared all over the place. And so what happens is my face, Ian's face, our guest, Phil, Tate, Serge, everybody who's on the show has exposure to tens of millions of people through these clips. especially when they're taken out of context.
Oh,
This
yeah.
creates a massive risk, death threats, etc.
I mean, it already happened to you. Someone tried to shoot up your
Someone
your
didn't try. They
premises. Yeah.
did shoot up our property.
Yeah.
And we don't have the ability to monetize against those views. So we get a massive spike in attention without the ability to generate the revenue that typically was used to provide security and this access.
Makes sense.
It's funny because after that conversation, then a couple months later, we had a drive-by shooting. 3 shots were fired at our property. Hence, we're now in Florida trying to figure out how to move forward. Right now, what I'm looking at is the elections that mattered were 3, 4, 5 years ago. The elections that mattered. Virginia, the election that mattered was the one that just happened, to be completely honest, because we'll jump into that in a second, but they've basically just steamrolled. I mean, the Democrats have made moves in Virginia in 48 hours that scream communist revolution. And again, we'll get into it. There's no election that's going to fix that.
Yeah.
And when we go into 2026, Democrats are now eliminating Republican votes from their states. There's no election that's going to fix the House. The states have already decided the House will be as they decide. It will be Democrat.
Yep.
So you get to vote for your candidate, and they're going to win. But guess what? Based on the demographic makeup of the districts that they've decided, if you're a Democrat living in a Republican district, you may get through in Indiana because they didn't change it. But in most of these Democrat states, Republican votes are effectively gone. So what do you do if you're a Republican? Let me say it like this. Man, the vibes out here are fantastic in Florida.
They really are.
I mean, Tate, you were mentioning that people were recognizing you know.
But it was like positive, which is great.
Well, but I mean, just like you're a relatively new addition to the team in the past year, and even people know who you are. They watch the show. Serge as well, Kellen Carter getting recognized. We were talking about it, and it's just like everywhere we go, everyone's like, we watch the show, and it's actually quite simple. The people who are moderates who lived in blue areas in the past 4 years moved to Texas and Florida. So this area is a high density of people who share a moral worldview with us. In West Virginia, which is very based, it's true, but borders Virginia, where when we go for food 5 minutes south, we're in Virginia where people are flying pride flags. You go to Maryland, we go to some of our favorite restaurants, they fly a pride flag above City Hall. And that's where the conflict exists. Hence, someone does a drive-by. So the question now is, what do you do considering this change has already happened?
Yeah.
It's already happened.
To fight fire with fire, right? We have to do the same.
Republicans aren't doing it. That's the point.
Well,
they are to a certain extent, but Indiana backed down, and now the Democrats are going to take the House, not based on electoral prowess, but based on seizure of power.
Yeah. Well, and Tim, I totally agree with you because I don't really buy like the idea that's like, okay, well, every election ramps up importance. I totally agree. Like 1992, the Republican primary, if Pat Buchanan won, we would have been out of this mess already. Like we would have mopped this up 30 years ago. And because this illustrates with the redistricting battle, this illustrates the point that I think Orrin McIntyre had made, where it's like, look, all a democracy is at this point, all an election is at this point is simply a census. All you're doing is just counting what the demographics are of your district. There's no like swinging voters anymore, and it drives me absolutely like mad that the Republicans, their only like way they're actually fighting back is like this wholesome chungus like voter drives that you're seeing where they're like, I registered 10,000 people at a gas station, and it's like sick, and then the election comes along, we get blown out, and it's like what are we doing? The only way we're actually going to compete again is like returning what the Democrats are actually doing, which is again just shoring up your vote. Because like it's great, you got a bunch of people registered, but it's like they're not turning out if Trump's not on the ballot, and also again they'll just redistrict you out of existence.
Okay, but let's take that to its logical conclusion. So it starts with Republicans, I believe, in Texas. A mid-decade redistricting, and Democrats said, if you want to play, we'll play too. And Democrats decided to play harder. I love this. This Jennifer Welch lady said, when we elect Democrats, they've got to be FU Democrats, not these integrity Democrats. And I'm like, I don't know that integrity Democrats exist.
There's no such thing anymore.
No such thing. No. So they're already doing it. Republicans in some states said, let's play. Democrats said, we'll play harder. And Republicans are going, I guess we lose. The logical conclusion is, if the Republicans do decide to fight fire with fire, Democrats say, you want to play again? We'll play harder. Democrats locked up lawyers, Trump's lawyers, Trump himself, false criminal charges. Donald Trump's DOJ says, maybe mortgage fraud. Bill Pulte's the only one. Let me give a shout out to Bill Pulte. Seemingly the guy with the least amount of power to do it, actually getting the job done to his best degree as he can. So this guy gets put in the, FHSA, Federal Housing Administrator, whatever it's called. And the DOJ is not locking these people up. The DOJ is not investigating or charging. We're not seeing anything from it. And then the guy who gets the housing administration goes, I'm going to find a way to get charges on these people. And he finds mortgage fraud. Is that the best the Trump DOJ is going to do? So I'll put it like this. Right now, it appears the Republicans are either incapable or unwilling to fight fire with fire as Democrats run roughshod over them. And if they don't, then we're in trouble. And if they do, Democrats will escalate. It would seem that Democrats win or we get major conflict.
Yeah, there was
communist revolution or civil war.
There's lose-lose.
Yeah, literally. I mean, there's a show that Republicans have no idea what time it is. There's literally a state senator in Indiana. His name was Mike something along those lines. And when Trump called Tim Walz retarded, which was hilarious and true, he literally came out and he was like, I'm a man of integrity, and like I know people in my family that have Down syndrome or whatever, and I'm a vote no on the redistricting bill because Trump has said retarded, and that's offensive.
He said naughty words.
I know, and I'm just like, dude, like Charlie Kirk just got shot. Like, are you a little new around here? Do you know what time it is? I mean, these people, literally, principles types of people, the wholesome Chungus Republicans just need to go. We've got enough.
Let me at least get one word in, guys. Come on. I'm gonna tell you a story. I worked at Vice. Everybody knows this. Really? And I remember talking with Shane Smith, the CEO, who was always a really good dude as far as I knew, despite, obviously there's public criticisms. And he was talking about, I think he was 45 at the time, and I was 28 or something, or what was I, 27? And he was talking about how cable TV was it. And they really wanted to get a cable channel, and that was the dream. And I'm sitting there going like, what are you talking about? I don't know anybody who watches cable TV. And then it clicked. His world, the people he talks to, the friends he knows, the meetings he has, no one's talking about YouTube. Everyone's talking about cable TV. YouTube is a sideshow. He goes to these meetings with the advertisers, and they say, look, we want to buy on cable TV. We don't care about YouTube. And he's going, if I'm going to run a business and be with in the big leagues, I got to be where the big leagues are, and that's TV. I was a younger guy, and I said, I don't know a single person who does this. So what happens? 10 years later, who cares about cable TV, right? For us, we're sitting here going, YouTube, long form, podcasts, and Gen Z is brain rotting AI slop. We know it's going to happen in 10 years. My point on this, that boomer guy you mentioned is like, I thought who's retarded. You're saying, does he not know what time it is? Is he new here? No. He's surrounded only by other boomers. They're not watching the content we produce. They're watching cable TV. They don't understand what time it is because they don't live in the real world. What's going to happen as young people are radicalized, older people less likely, and as I've said a million times, when the boomers die, and they're at the mortality cliff right now at 79 years old, we are going to see millennials inheriting a lot more power. And then I can hear the Gen Xers complaining they were left out. No, it's because Gen Xers are normal and stable. The millennials are where you start getting lunatics, and then Gen Z is where everyone's lost their mind. By the time Gen Z's in their mid-30s and they're controlling corporations, and they're the ones in office, and they will be, they are going to be, it's going to be full-scale conflict, right? Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.